Hey everybody, Sarah here. Welcome back to Overkill Reviews. This is Banger TV's weekly heavy metal review show. I am reviewing this album from Paris, where I am for work, hence this decoration behind me. So yeah, let's talk about a band that used to play death metal and no longer does.
I'm chasing light just to destroy it, throughout my night, just to destroy it.
That was the heaviest portion of the track Echoes of Light, which is from the album Echoes of Light, which is out now via Von Records. Chapel of Disease formed in 2008 in Cologne, Germany, and they've had a unique sonic path. Their relatively straightforward death metal debut in 2012 was called Summoning Black Gods. 2015's The Mysterious Ways of Repetitive Art followed, and that one had audible cues of a shift towards progressive rock of the 70s variety. Next came 2018's As We Have Seen the Storm, We Have Embraced the Eye, which was the album that introduced me personally to the band. I love that record, as it's absolutely hypnotic and super catchy, and the riffing in one of the tracks remind me of Mark Knopfler of Dire Straits, who is, a childhood favorite, so that's a great way to get into my heart. Now we're in 2024. Only one original member of the band now remains, and the rest of the members departed after recording their fourth studio album for personal reasons, which were totally unrelated to the sonic shift, which has been consistent since album one. So, what does that mean for the fourth studio album? Let's find out. This is no longer death metal. And I want to get this out of the way because I interviewed the band for Decibel magazine, and the leader, Laurent, he told me no riffs in there are death metal. And you can read that article in the print version of the magazine. And I know that it bears saying, but I think a lot of people really struggle or have a hard time when bands dramatically change their sound or even shift into a new direction. But there's a lot of good examples of this happening. There's also a lot of bad examples, but whichever way you feel. Here are some very clear examples of bands that have had a very dramatic sonic shift. Cue Elevator Music, Tribulation, The Horror, and Children of the Night. Ulver, Bergtat, themes from William Blake's The Marriage of Heaven and Hell, Childhood's End, yes, it's covers, we know, and Scary Music. In Solitude versus Sister, very different albums. And, of course, The Mighty Darkthrone, Soulside Journey, Transylvanian Hunger, Circle the Wagons. As you can see, Tribulation, Ulver, In Solitude, Darkthrone. These are all bands that I think are fantastic examples of bands who have radically sonically transformed, yet they all sound uniquely like themselves on all of their releases. So, no. While Echoes of Light does not sound like Summoning Black Gods, the elements that make Chapel of Disease are still there. So, the next question is, does the album sound good without the death metal? People get obsessed with genre, and I understand why, because it's a framework to understand if you're possibly going to like a band. So on that note, what does Chapel of Disease sound like now? Well, I personally describe it as a mixture of progressive dark metal, post-metal, and dark rock. The new album, Echoes of Light, it certainly furthers the sonic themes that were quite evident on 2018's And As We Have Seen the Storm, We Have Embraced the Eye. Here's an example of the particularly progressive dark metal on the song A Death Through No Loss.
And with hope, I'll inhale on dust, and then for you, I'll be a death through no loss.
I really enjoy these more aggressive moments, and I think it's during those moments that the record is best. But let's keep going with the genre discussion, because another integral part of this record is the post-metal, post-rock moments. And when I say that, I mean to think of bands like Godspeed You Black Emperor, Explosions in the Sky, Pelican, From Monuments to Masses. There's segments like this all throughout the album. The band is really, really good at taking you on these expansive, like emotional, journeys. It's just, it's nice. I like it. You can hear an example of this on the track Shallow Nights. Finally, here is an example of that dark rock that I mentioned in Gold Dust, although perhaps in most cases a better description would just be the parts with clean singing instead of growling.
You claim this righteous time. I claim what's inside. You give them life just taste. Let's share this part of mine.
One of these lengthy, clean singing segments also appears in the song An Ode to the Conqueror, and admittedly, these two parts work for me the least on the entire album. I just find them kind of toothless. Although I'm a big fan of gentle music, and honestly, that's generally, I listen to it for about an hour or 2 hours every single morning as I'm waking up. In my opinion, for Chapel of Disease, those parts are just missing the mark. But once both songs shift into heavier territory, which for Gold Dust is around the 3-minute and 49-second mark, and on An Ode to the Conqueror is around the 3-minute and 40-second mark as well, I then start liking them substantially more. Okay, so the verdict. I am struggling with this release. I find it intriguing, and I'm also finding that it is growing on me like moss. I really like Chapel of Disease, and I'm happy when artists reach outside of their comfort zones and avoid recreating the same album over and over and do different things instead of just finding a formula and sticking to it. That said, my favorite parts of this album are when Chapel of Disease retain the aggression or they play the expansive instrumental interludes. I think they're best when they are rocking out. I think they're great at it. I am admittedly not enjoying the gentler rock-oriented moments or folk Americana kind of merging that this is going into. However, I do find myself liking Echoes of Light more as time goes by, so I'd like to revisit this one for a verdict at the end of the year, because I feel like I don't feel really prepared to give a fair verdict right now. All that said, I know that that's what you guys expect. So for now, I'm going to give Echoes of Light a 3.5 out of 5 here on Overkill Reviews, but I'm going to tackle that again at the end of the year and see if it's gone up or down, because I could really go either way on this one. I already talked about a lot of releases that I was really stoked about in 2024 in my last video for Banger on the most anticipated releases of 2024. But I have 2 albums I'm going to talk about. The first up is Québécois hard rock Tonnerre, who will release their debut full-length. It is called Les Units Sauvages on April 5th. They are signed to Cruz del Sur Records, and the band features several members of doom band Cauchemar. And for this project, they are moving towards a style of hard rock emulating Blue Oyster Cult, Roxy Erickson, and AC/DC, sung in the French language. You can pick that from Bandcamp now. Other than that, and I already talked about this in my most anticipated albums of 2024 video, the new Halder album is coming out on Friday, which is February 9th. The record is called Versus an Oath. It's out via $20 spin. I've already talked about it, so I won't talk more, but it's the best thing that they've done yet. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.